The Breakdown is presented by John's Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when the drains don't flow.
Welcome into The Breakdown. Phil Perry, Ted Johnson alongside. We have a lot to get to today, Ted. Miami just continues to be a house of horrors for the New England Patriots, and a lot of the issues that we saw from this team all summer, they cropped up down in Miami.
Yeah, they really did, and that was what you were kind of hoping for. Is they had 2 weeks between the last preseason game and this opener against Miami, and you thought maybe that they could really improve from what we'd seen in training camp in the preseason. Not the case. So off to an 0-1 start, and a lot of the same problems like you mentioned in training camp. Just the offense not being able to even take off yet is going to be a concern all year. Hopefully they get this thing fixed and figured out pretty soon.
A lot to iron out along the offensive line in particular. Never good, Ted, when your quarterback comes away from a game with an injury. Mac Jones injured his back late in that game against the Dolphins. We talked to him today about that injury.
Definitely feel better, and yeah, I want to be able to be ready to play against Pittsburgh, and I feel good. But yesterday, just talking with the trainers, just try to get back. Wasn't feeling too hot after the game, but definitely feel a lot better.
All right, Ted, you encouraged by what you're hearing there from Mac Jones?
A little bit, yeah, actually I am. I mean, so it doesn't sound that bad, and here's the thing. They need this kid clearly, obviously, all 17 games. And so just from his tone and his demeanor, I feel like it's good news that I think Mac's going to be okay.
He is their best and most important player. Yep. If he is missing time or at all limited, it could be a very long season here in New England. It was a long day yesterday for the New England Patriots, especially offensively. Here are some of the numbers. 7 points fewer than any game for the Mac Jones-led Patriots last season. 17 first downs, the third fewest in Mac Jones's young career. And the Patriots tied last year's season high with 3 turnovers, including a strip sack of Jones that Miami recovered for a score. Bill Belichick spoke about that turnover today.
We didn't block him. Yeah, we had enough people to block him, and we just didn't get it handled right, obviously.
Is that communication before the snap or more after the snap when the safety comes down?
Yeah, it's execution. It's execution.
All right, it's time now for Board Games, brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when the drains don't flow. Ted, we have to look at this strip 6 by the Miami Dolphins in the second quarter. Protection issues for the Patriots. We have dual read written at the top. Looks like there's just a little bit of a numbers game that the Patriots couldn't figure out on the left side of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, disappointing play, clearly. They get down 10-0 from this play. Here's what the offensive linemen are trained to do, is kind of split the field, the formation, down the middle, all right? So David Andrews, James France, Trent Brown, they are responsible for these 4 guys in picking up if they all come on a blitz. These 3 guys are responsible for those 3 guys. That's how it plays out. The Dolphins did a very good job of disguising their coverages. So they showed this look just for most of the beginning of the play. And then with a few seconds left in the play clock, Brendan Jones does an excellent job of kind of timing it up with the cadence of the quarterback. And he stems down late to blitz to come off the edge. This stemming down late confuses the Patriots' offensive line, Trent Brown in particular. He does not see Brendan Jones come down here late. He's looking inside, so when he drops back into pass coverage, he's only focused on this D lineman and this D lineman, and he pinches down as opposed to turning his head out and seeing in Brandon Jones right here. Hunter Henry clears out. That brings the linebacker, so there's all this space. This D lineman right here, he slants inside hard to get the attention of Trent Brown, so his eyes go inside, and that leaves a clear lane for Brandon Jones to come off the edge. And Brandon Jones does a great job, but when he hits Mac Jones, it's to secure with his left hand, knock the ball out. Miami scoops and scores, and that was a big, big play. They didn't communicate before the snap like they should have, and they showed one look before the snap, and then post-snap, Miami stems down late to kind of fool the offensive lineman, and they do a great job. Trent Brown doesn't see him. He's got to have his eyes out there on the periphery the entire time before the ball snaps. He doesn't do that. Gives up a big play, and turned out to be one of the bigger plays of the game.
Bill Belichick said after the game, we had enough blockers for that play. We just didn't get him. Offensive line communication was an issue all summer. It continued on Sunday. All right, it's time for my report card. My report card is presented by the Massachusetts School of Law. You can check out the the reasoning behind all these grades on NBCSportsBoston.com. But we're going to keep our focus for right now on that offensive line. They got an F for their performance in Miami. Some positive things in the run game, especially early in that game. I know some of the players were encouraged by that, but Ted, the bad was bad enough. You had to give them a failing grade. And let's talk a little bit more about this strip 6 and maybe how things could have worked out differently for the Patriots. For our Ted Neek, which is presented by Shaw's Perfecting the Art of Fresh, we have brought in our very own Trenny Kisnerick to help us. Trenny Casey, excuse me.
That's okay, it happens. I almost called myself that the other day.
Trenny Casey, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Trenny.
You are going to be playing Melvin Ingram, defensive end for the Miami Dolphins. And Ted, you're going to be Brandon Jones. I'm going to be Trent Brown.
Correct. So you assume the left tackle position. You're Trent Brown. Trenny is Melvin Ingram. She is the outside linebacker, defensive end off the edge. So here's on this play, the strip 6, if you will. Brandon Jones, he's a strong safety, and he's in the box for most of the start of the play clock. However, as the play clock's winding down, he stems late. Okay, so right now he's kind of in his normal safety position, and so the lineman Trent Brown thinks the outside rusher he's got to get the block the widest outside rusher. Right now it's Trenny, also known as Melvin Ingram, in this scenario. However, at the end of the play clock, as it winding down, Brandon Jones starts to stem down here late. And Trent Brown doesn't see it. So here's a play clock's winding down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and he starts coming up. The ball snapped. Here's Melvin Ingram goes inside. Trent Brown doesn't even look outside. And Brandon Jones comes right off the edge and makes the strip sack right there for easy 6 points. Trent Brown has to get his eyes out and block the widest guy at the snap of the ball. He doesn't see him. And there's a little bit of a cat and mouse, you guys, with Brandon Jones kind of hiding behind Melvin Ingram, trying not to get Trent Brown to pay too much attention to him, and he times it up perfectly on the cadence, hits it off the edge, well-executed blitz, and it's a blitz the Patriots like to do a lot of times too, but the Miami Dolphins got home with it, and it was a big play in the game.
And before the snap, Patriots offensive line, you broke it down on the board. Those three players, David Andrews, James Ferentz, Trent Brown, they know if the Mike or the Sam linebacker, who is the safety in this case, ends up coming down, that's their responsibility. So It's not on Hunter Henry, who was running a route on that play. He's a receiver on that play, not a blocker. It's really not on Mac Jones, Ted, right? Because Mac Jones, when he sees the math and he understands, okay, I've got three guys here. If one of them comes, I'm okay.
Correct.
Is there anything you think he could have done? Because in my opinion, and based on some of the people I've spoken to, it felt like this was strictly on the line.
It was on the offensive line, and particularly, the left tackle. Trent Brown, he's got to see that outside wide rusher, and he does it late. So, again, the Miami Dolphins did a really good job of just kind of disguising their coverages, showing one coverage pre-snap, and then post-snap showing something different. And Brandon Jones comes down late, and Trent Brown doesn't see him, and it's really just a good disguise, and that's how you confuse teams, and that's what good defenses do.
All right, we're learning things from Ted Johnson as we do every week, and Trenny Casey, excuse me.
It's going to take a while.
It's week one for everybody, folks, okay?
Trenny Casey
offense. Helping us out, a.k.a. Melvin Ingram. Thank you very much. Okay, nobody's going to confuse this guy for Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, okay? But Tua Tagovailoa got the job done on Sunday against the Patriots, 270 yards. Had a back-breaking touchdown to Jalen Waddle, and he's now 4-0 as a starter against the Patriots. Let's see. Ted, what do you think of Tua Tagovailoa? Because for me, not impressed. I know the numbers were okay, but when it comes to the decision-making at times, he had some very near turnover type of throws. The arm strength, I think, is below average, but what'd you think about Tua?
Yeah, I thought I was going to see a little bit different Tua, because all during training camp, I kind of heard this is new offense, new coaches. Finally coaches that coach, the quarterbacks, with Brian Flores before, it was all defensive minded. And I thought I'd see a little bit better performance. It seems to be like he is who he's always been. So still a weak arm, not a strong arm, and decision-making questionable. I thought he would play better with the supporting cast he had and the infrastructure he has with the quality of coaching. But it looks like the same old Tua to me.
That record pretty good against the Patriots, and he did.
Fair point.
Find a way to avoid turnovers, which is always a good thing. Here's what Devin McCourty had to say after the game on Sunday.
What was it, 10 zip, and you give up that play, even if we just make the tackle, we go 13 zip into the half is way better, I think, than giving up the touchdown. I think within the game, like that play, you're not sitting there like, man, we lost now. But it definitely when you have a play like that where it's just like, I don't want to say easy, but a play where, all right, they make a good throw and catch, let's just tackle them right here. It definitely, I think it hurt us.
Back out here for Board Games, brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when the drains don't flow. Ted, we need to take a look at this massive touchdown the Dolphins scored right before the end of the first half. You have cover one rat written at the top of the board. Tell us what that means.
All right, cover one rat. You're going to have 4 rushers, cover one, single high safety, and it's Kyle Duggar, which is kind of interesting. We'll get into that. But Kyle Duggar is a single high safety right here. The 4 down linemen are the rushers. These 2 guys have these 2 guys. Right here, Peppers has the tight end, and here's what the rat, the extra helper. That's one guy kind of roams the middle of the field. That's Juwan Bentley. Juwan Bentley's favoring this side in coverage. He's a free guy, but he's going to help. Why? On this side, because it's Tyreek Hill, who's a very dangerous player right here. So you have coverage kind of worrying about Tyreek Hill right here. However, it's Jalen Waddle right here that ends up beating you on this play. So you have Cedric Wilson, who comes in short motion right here. What does that do? That triggers these 2 guys right here to communicate, hey, Miles Bryant, you take this wide receiver. Now Jalen Mills is going to move on to Jalen Waddle right here, who runs a post route, okay? Now, what is his job? In cover one rat, you have single high safety. Jalen Mills, who's squeezing down, knows I have middle of this field safety. So all I got to do is stay outside leverage, which he did, squeeze it down to where your help is. And Kyle Duggar has got to come up and make the play. Here's the thing about Juwan Bentley on this side, okay? Here, the route that Tyreek Hill, he runs up and out, so that takes the cornerback. Juwan Bentley is looking over here to help. Oh, I don't have to go over here. He turns back to help to the middle of the field. It's too late. Tua hits a strike right here to Jalen Waddle in front of Kyle Duggar, and with these 2 guys squeezing right here, it's a perfect pass. Kyle Duggar, the key on this thing is Kyle Duggar's got to come up and make that play. He doesn't. He gets beat. He gets out leveraged. And the interesting thing on this play is Kyle Duggar is the single high safety when really the more qualified guy would have been Devin McCourty, who was here covering the running back on this play. It was kind of a wasted, I think, play to have Devin McCourty on the running back with Kyle Duggar, who makes a poor angle. That's not his strength, Phil, is those kind of plays. And so that was a killer, big play right before the half for the Patriots to give up that touchdown.
Take a bad angle. Maybe you're a step slow against this Dolphins offense and the speed that they have. That can turn into an explosive touchdown. All right, you saw Ted right there. He's just showing us how Tyreek Hill had the attention of the Patriots on Jalen Waddle's touchdown. The attention was certainly warranted. Hill targeted a whopping 12 times yesterday, more than double the 5 targets for Waddle. Chase Edmonds, the only other player on the Miami side to be targeted more than twice. So let's get to Technique, which is presented by Shaw's Perfecting the Art of Fresh. Ted, tell us how you try to cover Tyreek Hill. He didn't deliver a knockout blow to the Patriots, but 8 catches, 94 yards, had a big day.
I thought the Patriots did a pretty good job containing him, really. So what the Patriots did, they put Jonathan Jones on him a lot of times. They put Jonathan Jones, they put Jack Jones, the rookie, on him a lot of times. And what you'd see a lot of times is the Patriots doing a lot of off coverage. They're not going to get up in Tyreek Hill's grill because they're worried about him getting around him. They're going to slough off. They're going to get a lot of cushion. And so that, there's a lot of times Tyreek Hill caught the ball, and then and then you buy time to get guys to come and rally. What you'll see Tyreek Hill do a lot of times, Phil, in these games is he's very active before the snap in his motions. So he's constantly doing different types of motions, all right? So if Phil is Jonathan Jones in this scenario, and he's got me man-to-man, in which when you got man-to-man, you were told if he goes to the bathroom, you go with him, all right? All right, so here, I'm Tyreek Hill, and I'm in motion, and I'll do things like this. I'll come here, and then I'll come here, and then I'll take off and go here, and I'm making this defensive guy work his butt off. You'll see Tyreek Hill do slow motion, and then speed up, and then come around the quarterback, and then you see the defender swinging around the defense. He does so many different things in his motions pre-snap that really stress the defense out. And you can see it shows the quarterback, too, what coverage you're in. So you saw a lot of the defensive players for the Patriots running around trying to cover Tyreek Hill. Even though he didn't have a big breakout play, he just stresses the defense enough that you always got to worry about where he's at.
And his speed gets him some free yardage at times, Ted, because it looked like he can come off the line at such a pace that eventually, if I'm Jonathan Jones, I have to go from just a plain back pedal to oh, you know what? I better turn around and bust my hump to get deep, because if I don't, he's going to run right by me. So it's got to be difficult for a defender to put myself in your shoes to know when.
To know if you're in the back pedal, to know when to open up. And the expression is, Phil, if you're backing up, if he's even, he's leaving. So you can't open up when he's even. It's too late. You got to open up almost before he's by you. And sometimes when you do that, he can still do in cuts. And so it's very difficult to recover if he does have in cuts and if he's not going straight. So it's a very difficult cover. That's why the Patriots, more times than not, put two guys on Tyreek Hill and not just one guy.
Like we saw on that play with Jawan Bentley having an extra set of eyes on Tyreek Hill. He is that dangerous. That's how you have to play him. Welcome back to The Breakdown. Let's take a look at how Mac Jones used play action on Sunday. It's presented by your New England Ford dealers and Ford trucks. Built Ford tough. Last season, Mac averaged more than 6 play action attempts per game. That netted an average of more than 50 yards through the air. But Sunday, the Patriots quarterback attempted just 2 play action throws, completing both for 22 yards. That brings us to our Monday night spotlight, presented by the Oakers Company, proud sponsor of the New England Patriots. Ted, what do you make of the lack of play action from this Patriots offense Sunday?
Yeah, there's a couple kind of things to maybe think about when it comes to that. One is that the Miami Dolphins blitz a lot. I mean, I think they blitz the Patriots in recent history like 40% of the time. I think they did close to over 30% of the time. When you have a team that you're playing against that blitzes that much, sometimes the running game that sets up the pass action game is you're worried about that blitzing destroying it, and so you don't do as much play action. And here's the weird thing is that our great producer Steve Hamlin of this great show is always these receivers. He's always saying the receivers don't get separation. Partly of the reason there's not as much separation with receivers is because of the lack of play action that you're seeing from this offense. There's not as good of a play action kind of system in place right now for this team, and so I think it's weighing and it's more difficult for the wide receivers to get separation from the secondary.
I wonder if we would have seen more play action in the second half, Ted, if it hadn't been a 17-point deficit, right? When you have the threat of the run game, I think the coaching staff probably looks at that and says, oh, Miami's not buying any of our run fakes right now anyway. We're down 3 scores. We got to put this thing in the air, and they know that. So let's not waste our time. Maybe leave ourselves susceptible to a blitz, get it out of Mac Jones's hands quickly, and try to attack that way. But, Ted, play action or no play action? Just a lack of explosive plays, period, was very obvious. This was an issue for them all last year. One guy comes in the game, and he creates an explosive play, his second play on the field, then he gets benched right after that. It's Kendrick Bourne. When you see the situation with Bourne right now, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's troubling. It's kind of a red flag for me because you wonder if Kendrick Bourne's the only one that is maybe disgruntled. So it feels as if Kendrick Bourne is a little bit disgruntled, that he's maybe made his feelings known, and that right now he's in the Bill Belichick doghouse right now. And so guys are watching that. There's guys on this team that are saying, hey, Kendrick Bourne can help us win football games. We just went down to Miami 5 days early. We're down there preparing. We want to win this football game. And why aren't you playing Kendrick Bourne? He's one of our best players. And so that's kind of what guys are going to be saying behind the scenes. And so you worry that kind of, lack of trust, concern from the players might be snowball into something bigger than it is.
I spoke to multiple players in that locker room last night who were wondering why Kendrick Bourne isn't playing more. And they call him a playmaker. And when he's on the field, good things seem to happen. So they're looking at this as well. He was clearly frustrated when he came off the field during the game. I thought he said all the right things after the fact. But during the game, he's clearly frustrated, Ted. Can he get back onto the field if he's in Bill Belichick's doghouse? Will Bill Belichick be willing to look at Kendrick Bourne and look at whatever's happening behind the scenes maybe and say, you know what? Forget all that, because we need him, because we need to be able to throw the ball down the field. He's one of the few guys that can do it.
Phil, you just said it. Yes, they can put this behind him, but you know who's got to maybe be, like I used to have a therapist always say, someone's got to be the adult in a relationship. So I don't know if it's Bill, I don't know if it's Kendrick, but Bill Belichick has the ability, I know for a fact, because he's done it with me, to come extend the olive branch to Kendrick Bourne and say, hey, can we put this behind us? I know maybe things you don't like maybe how things are going right now, but let's bury the hatchet because we really need you, and pump him up. And you can get Kendrick Bourne mentally back into it by just extending an olive branch like Bill Belichick has done before in the past.
A lot happening here between what's going on at the receiver position, on the offensive line. Can they get it fixed before week 2 going to Pittsburgh?
It's going to be very difficult. I think so. But can they? Yes. But it's going to be very difficult. The buy-in has to be better. They have to start believing in what they're doing because it just doesn't look like the buy-in is at a high level right now.
Mac Jones did speak to us earlier this afternoon. He said, hey, I believe in Kendrick Bourne. I think his time is coming. And so I think they're optimistic that they'll be able to get a little bit something more from there. But the big story going in will be buy-in, I'm sure we'll talk about, is Mac Jones even healthy, Ted? If he's not, do they have a chance?
Yeah, if they don't, no, probably not. That's your flag carrier. That is the guy that everyone's rallying around. You need him healthy to really have a chance, Phil.
All right, Ted. Well, we'll be back here regardless whether Mac Jones is limited or a full go here on The Breakdown. Thanks for being with us.